Who would have thought that we'd be back so soon?
I would have.
Fire Guy Ryan, how you doing?
Doing good. Every Tuesday we're here, so I mean, it's not that much of a surprise.
I used to say I missed you, man, but I don't miss you anymore. I officially am seeing you too much.
That's right. We'll take one of these weeks off.
I'm getting sick of you, Ryan.
That's fair.
Being real. What are we going to do about that? I know. We're going to talk about more funny books. Hit the like. Slap the subscribe. Got to remind the community that if they're not watching us live on YouTube or watching the recorded show after it gets posted, you can find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, and iTunes. Audio only, baby. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, it would do us a huge solid if you gave it a rating. Hit that like and subscribe. Don't forget to comment. It'll enter you to win an invincible #1. Only if you actually comment on the video itself, not just in the chat, but we do appreciate the chat being here today. We got Fire Guy Ryan in the house. He's a good friend of mine. He also reads comic books, and we took those conversations and brought them to the mic. And we had some bangers today, man.
We got some fun books on deck.
You think we're going to piss people off talking about some of these books? We're talking about like technology.
We're not doing our job if we don't piss people off. That's why you hired me.
Is it? Hired guy?
Bank.
Dude, people love that
you
video.
You specifically told me to work at the bank, only here, so you can piss people off.
That's right.
If you can't do that, then you're fired.
Okay, so we have...
But I did love that video, yes. Yeah. And so did other people, but I enjoyed it too. I had fun.
Did you have fun?
I had fun talking to you.
So...
For once.
We are going to be talking about a bunch of books that we read that you should consider adding to your pull list because, you know, comic books are for reading, but we're also talking about $100 keys that I'm hunting for. That's right. I'm going to give you a peek in my noggin, all right? Go like a little multiverse of madness as far as comic books go. What I think about when I am on the hunt and I'm about to drop a Benjamin, you know? I never said that before in my life, too.
Clearly.
I don't know. It's just, we're riffing here, and I said it, so it is what it is. $100 keys is what we're going to be talking about today, courtesy of an amazing application, which we'll get to in a second. However, I got to tell you about the first sponsor of the show, which is the best new place to buy and sell comic books. We're talking about Whatnot, yo. Take a look at this. This is my profile on Whatnot, Comictom101. I'm going to be going to Dallas Comic-Con in a couple weeks. You're going to want to be there because I'm going to be adding a bunch of streams. We're going to schedule them this week. And if you want to get Dallas exclusives, I'm going to be there grabbing them and getting them out to the community. Also, I have some comic books planned that I'm going to be debuting. Very excited about that. And I'm hearing that Tyler Kirkham is doing a Homelander exclusive, and it's going to be battle damaged. Hot damn. I think. I've only seen a peek of it over on AKA Mr. Bolo. Shout out his Instagram page, one of the Whatnot reps.
That's what that was.
Yep.
He posted something super mysterious the other day.
It was very mysterious. Rey Mysterio levels of mysterious, my brother.
And I think the older I get, the more mysteries that get dangled in front of my face. I just look at them and go, and just keep going. Like, I don't know it. Move on.
Can you do me a favor, Ryan? What else are we going to be talking about today? Because we got that. We also have their comments. They leave us comments on the video, which you got to comment because I'm sure you win a comic book. That's very, very wanted. But what else we got?
He's correct. We're going to be going over some viewer comments. I'm going to be opening up a new package that I received from James Tynan that
he sent you a package. I like how you say it, how we say it, like Jimmy T's over there, like, I'm getting done with Nice Ryan House on the Lake. I'm done writing another, I don't even know how he does all the stuff he does. But then he goes, but I got to get Fire Guy Ryan's order out. He bought a shirt.
The end of night, as he's snuggling up in bed, he jumps up and goes, I forgot to pack up Ryan's shirt. Let me go stuff that into a bag and send it out in the middle of the night in my pajamas still.
He does it in his pajamas?
That's how I think about it.
Well, all right. What kind of pajamas does Jimmy T wear?
A bunch of Eric Slaughter teeth all over them.
He just wears his own merch?
Oh, yeah, don't you? Don't you sleep in a Comic Tom onesie?
That's true.
With little feet on it?
It's actually not out yet, comic fan. But anyways, follow me on Whatnot because it's the place to be because we're going to be dropping some amazing exclusives at the con and you want to be there. Also, you don't want to miss out on some bangers because I bet the people who bought the Batman McFarlane foil and the Department of Truth foil are very happy with me right now because what they sold for is far less than what they're going for now. And sometimes that happens. You never know when it will, but sometimes it does. And we also have to give a big shout out to all of the mystery mail call community members because they are the members that make everything possible. It's what brought our entire team together. It makes the production possible. If you go to comictom101.com, join the community, hit the subscribe button right here. And what we do is we curate a box of comics for every single member every month. $35 plus shipping and one per box. We guarantee this exclusive right here. We have Alex Maleev on New Fantastic Four issue number 1. And we got Kang the Conqueror on the cover, baby. And it looks glorious.
I can't wait to start bagging these up.
Dude, I'm freaking hyped, man. It's going to be good. And I have a announcement to make. What?
Ooh.
Yes, comic fam. We are not guaranteeing this one per box because.
That's what this is. Okay.
All right. This is the first time anyone's seeing this, okay?
Including me, by the way.
All right. We have a book that we've been working on, but because of delays, we haven't even received them yet. But it is like 95% sure that this is going to be one per box, but I'm not going to guarantee it one per box until I know. I like to have the comics in hand, bagged and boarded, because you never know what's going to go wrong.
Damages and all that.
It could be a mess. So I should have enough one per box, but I got to show you the book because we're going to know here pretty soon. We have going in potentially one per box, pretty damn close. It will likely be that, but no promises. A Salvador Dali inspired cover. We have teamed up with Carnivore Comics. We've teamed up with Whatnot Comics, and we have taken the classic Salvador Dali portrait. He also did one of his wife as well, very similar.
Is that a self-portrait?
It is. Side note, Scout Comics, James Hake, he's got that same mustache. I am not
Coincidence?
kidding. Coincidence? All right. But I present
It's my favorite button.
the
soundboard.
joint exclusive, because Carnivore's going to be selling sets on Whatnot. Whatnot's getting some copies for Dallas because Tyler Kirkham's going to be there. But it should be one per box. So if you go to Comictom101.com to join, this is your only way to get it from us by chance until I announce our damage counts. And if as soon as I find out, I'm going to let everyone know here on the community tab on YouTube, but also on my Instagram. We have Tyler Kirkham Venom number 8. Yes. We did it. We did it, comic fam. And if you're listening to us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, or iTunes, you can check out the cover because I'm going to have posted it by the time you listen to this. Venom 8, Salvador Dali inspired cover. We got Tyler Kirkham, Carnivore, Whatnot making it possible. Big thank you to the amazing team at both of those businesses. And let's begin the show. But we didn't actually order it, Ryan. We did that whole thing that we do sometimes. But I think we should start out with some comic books. What do you think?
I'm just following your flow, man.
You want to follow the flow?
I'm just in awe. That's my moral today.
Ryan is in awe right now.
Ryan started the fire!
It means we're dishing out some damn good content. Comic Butch is at my feet.
Just
He's
gonna
doing
say, I
the
just
figure eights right now. So
Watched him walk in.
he'll come in here. He'll come. There he is. He'll come join us here in a second. I'm thinking we need to think anew. New think.
Oh,
AWA.
Okay, that was good. I didn't.
Ma?
Just
What do you
wonder
think?
which one you were getting at there, but now I
We're
get it.
talking about a comic book series that everyone
Brand new
needs
number
to
1 from this last week.
read. Let's do it.
Butch wants to read it.
New Think number 1, AWA 2022 release. There's only one book that is out, and we have a creative team that is powerful. Ryan, hit him with it.
This book is written by, is it Greg Hurwitz?
Yep.
And Mike Deodato Jr. doing the artwork in here. Again, he's done a lot of AWA books.
Dude, Greg has
excited.
done Wolverine and Punisher.
Yeah, and he actually wrote Knighted, which was an AWA book that just recently wrapped up. This isn't even his first time with this publisher.
So check this out. This is a 5-issue anthology. All right. Very important that people know about that going into it because your expectations will be off. If you don't, we'll get to that in here in a second. It's a 5-issue anthology, and hit them with the different artists that are going to be part of this series.
That's exciting to me. So yeah, Greg Hurwitz is going to be writing all 5 of these issues, but the artist will rotate. So you got Mike Deodato here in the first one.
We got Comic Butch just causing a ruckus already. Let's give a like for Comic Bush, Comic Fam. And Ryan, can you kick him off? I'll actually hold him.
There you go. Sorry, Butch.
Butch, come over here, buddy.
Go see Tom.
All right, who else we got on this?
Okay, like I said, Mike Deodato's doing issue 1 here. Mike Choi, friend of the show, is going to be jumping on to do one of these New Think issues, which I'm very excited to read. Kieran Grant is doing one, Ramon Rosanes, and Will Conrad.
Artists who've done Spider-Man, artists who've done Star Wars, artists who've done X-Men, artists who've done Fantastic Four and The Flash. This right here is essentially a, what's that Netflix show, Black Mirror? Mm-hmm. It's Black Mirror in comic books, but what a interesting wave of emotions you feel when reading this comic. Like, yes, there are times that you feel dark, it takes you to dark places, uncomfortable places. This comic, I wasn't expecting to take us there in that way because I didn't know it was an anthology until I looked it up. Is there going to be another issue that's going to continue this narrative? And when I found out that it wasn't, I had to look at the comic book again and give it a whole reread. And it's worth the reread alone for the graphic design, for the art on the inside. But the dark feeling you get from this is something that just gets me hyped about comics. I like feeling dread. I'm a big horror fan. I like things that make me feel uncomfortable, and this does that like every single page.
Yeah, you said horror, and that's where my first instinct when reading that this book exists. Like, my gut instinct is this is a horror anthology, because those usually go, for me anyway, that's what I read. Horror anthologies.
I gotta say something too.
Not a horror book.
I gotta say something, Ryan.
No.
It's important.
What are you saying?
You smell good.
I smell good.
And the reason why I know you smell good is because Butch smells like you.
Oh.
So whatever you're wearing, brother, you're rocking the hell out of it.
Well, Butch is transferring it.
It is.
Yes, I'll just spray him with more of my cologne when you're not looking.
So this comic book, issue number 1, takes us through the history of technology. That's pretty much it. And here's the thing. This is impossible to spoil. This is the most spoiler-free spoiler review you can do because we can tell you what it's about and it doesn't necessarily matter because unless you read it in hand, well, digitally or, on a comic book, you're not going to get what this comic book provides because the narrative is something you have to experience. And we can say that about a lot of comic books, sure, but there's a lot of like plot twists and character development that you have to kind of hang your hat on when you're writing a comic book, when artists really go all in, especially on an anthology. Ryan, you pointed out something amazing. There is no characters in this. There's no lead character. There's no antagonist per se, arguably.
Sure. It's hard to spoil because it's effectively like a history lesson, a modern history lesson of technology and screens. And I would actually recommend reading this book digitally. Normally, I don't recommend one way or the other, but I think I first read this book digitally. And I think reading it on a screen will give you it will augment your feelings of discomfort.
It's almost this is just a little tip, but this right here, because so much of this anthology is going to focus on technology and how it's intertwined with our lives as human beings in negative ways, potentially, because it's kind of up for interpretation after you read issue number 1. But by the end of it, you definitely don't feel good. And the narrating is done in a way, verbiage is chosen for a reason, because there's ways that you can say we rely on technology, but the word slavery gets thrown around a lot. And that right there puts you in a mindset of, wait a minute, although we are just explaining something that's happened, and it also kind of takes you into a future where things get a little bit more robust and technology starts to expand, you then look at these words and go, oh, wait a minute, this isn't as it seems on the surface. This actually is terrible.
Yeah, you got to show more pictures from in here too.
Okay, so
the overall layouts and the panel design here is exciting.
It's the growth of the screens. The screens are discussed in a way.
They're technically the villain of this issue, and there's screens with a K, a screen,
as if they're sentient.
Right,
the screens were born,
yeah,
and then the screens expanded. They intertwined themselves in human life, and then humans start to rely on them for making money. And then they start to rely on them for entertainment. And then all of a sudden now you're going into like the Wall-E aspect of, well, now they are literally relying on this for everything. And then it goes into combining humans with technology, specifically, biology, etc. Evolution.
Yeah, I mean, it starts off with big clunky computers, and it kind of follows the proliferation and the evolution of computers into sleeker and sleeker models of computers. And then they started talking to each other via the internet. And then they started reproducing and getting smaller and smaller to stuff that we can use in our pockets. What
we're looking at right now is part of the history of screens in this short narrative. And we are looking at a father who is sitting at a computer with his family in the background, ignoring his family at dinner, is what it looks like. And then an immediate panel after where his family is like gone to bed, but he is still there.
No, that's him. He's not even at home anymore. He's
at work. Excuse me. He's at work. Work and his home life is they're showing parallels. That's actually the correct way to put it.
Him sitting at a computer, the exact
You're
same
right.
pose.
Different background.
Right. He's doing the same thing in two different places. His whole life revolves around working at a computer screen.
Right. What does it say here? Actually, let's read it.
A worker's life now consisted largely of spending time with the screen on his domestic altar at home with his family in the background being neglected, and then spending time with another screen at his workplace altar. So they throw the word altar around a lot here to kind of...
That's the word we're talking about.
They're worshiping at an altar to like gods and their slaves and masters, and it puts a little spin on our relationship with screens and technology throughout the years, and it's not wrong. So on one hand, this is definitely just like almost like a documentary, just the evolution of computing and its relationship with humans at the end of the 20th century. But on the other hand, it's got this kind of creepy narration going on in the background, telling it from the other side of it, from the screen's perspective and their slow infiltration into our society.
Infiltration is a good way to put it because it is like a takeover. This right here is the start of a comic where you feel like by the end of it, if this was going to be a continuation, a non-anthology, that there would be something that takes place that starts a narrative. That's not what you get here. This right here is just an experience, open, shut, one comic book, and it's going to make you feel some ways, and you're going to like it. If you enjoy feeling, that dark,
it's kind of like
that dark existential realism type of feeling.
I know we talk about these movies like every show, but like Hereditary or Midsommar even, the beginning of those movies dealing with like loss and grief trauma and depression and like not necessarily horror movie feelings, but discomfort and like the ability of a work of art to kind of make you feel kind of gross and a little it's a little sketched out and creeped out, and I don't know. It's I like it. I like it a lot. This is a good book.
Okay, last thing I need to ask, the creative team and or the community, are you reading this comic? Are you reading any other AWA comics? Because this is one of those situations where they're, in my book, just a publishing company that I don't need to be sold a synopsis anymore.
My favorite publisher. Anything they do, I put on my pull list.
It's just out of the park every single time. They have a very high standard for their comic book writing. And as you've seen in a lot of these panels, they have members who are skilled with graphic design, like beyond the art, the panel placements, it's unique. And we've seen that time and time again, where sometimes it's different from comic to comic, but you see there's extra effort in how you consume it. And this right here is a perfect example of when you do that right, and the comic itself is an experience in the way we're describing, you hit a home run. Also, is this guy on the escalator Heisenberg? That's the other question that I have. That's very important. I'm going to have to zoom in here so everyone can see it. But there's a reason why, like, this is an open shut comic. Like, is this an Easter egg? I have to know. These are some of the things I think about when I'm reading comic books. Let me know in the comment section. Hit the like and subscribe. Oh my gosh, AWA, outstanding. Absolutely outstanding.
That was New Think #1 from AWA. We're off to a very good start with that book. We're one issue down, just came out last week. I'm very excited to see where that book goes in the future.
Okay, sometimes comments happen, and I encourage the comments on our videos, not just the chat. We have over 100 people here. Shout out to the members who are joining us on a Tuesday. That's typically when we film this podcast live, a little bit after noon. But if you comment on the actual video, and it doesn't matter what you say, comment on the video. It helps the production so much. But it also enters you to win stuff. And we have an Omni-Man Invincible #1 that you can win. I want to know what your thoughts are. And let's talk about your viewer comments that you posted on our past videos. Go ahead and read them what Bugsy Kingpin said.
Comics led to my career as well. Okay, so this was from the clip of our bank interview segment that we did.
Yeah, last week. Show. Make sure to check out the podcast. There's a clip online. That is the show where I talked about with Ryan how we met. How this friendship began. I hired him at the bank.
It was a cool story.
Yeah.
Comics led to my career as well. As an avid collector, as a teen, I would track monthly values of my collection on graph paper. Monthly.
I did something kind of similar.
I didn't think about that. You probably update that all the time.
Yeah, every book.
Monthly. Ugh. Stumbled upon finance in college, which in my mind meshed perfectly with the hobby. Went on to get an MBA/CFA and became an investment advisor. In the biz, 20 plus years now, and still collecting.
I thought this comment it was really fun because one of the, things I thought of on the mic when we were discussing our first meeting and how we became friends was pointing out that was like a time of my life that I wasn't as, I didn't look at work as something I was looking forward to.
Right.
So I look back now and go, wow, like some of the most important friendships I ever made was during a time of my life that I didn't really think a lot of like positive things about. So, another thing that's being pointed out by Bugsy Kingpin is the power of comic books in the community. The word community gets thrown around a lot. We say it a lot on the show, but the IG comic fam has been around longer than this show, right? The YouTube comic fam.
You didn't invent it.
No. And it's a real thing. Just like comic karma is a real thing. It's more real than most karma. Like, I don't actually believe in
Karma,
like Karma Chameleon. No, I believe in like comic karma, you know? I've seen it with my own eyes, my ojos. So this is Bugsy, who experienced parts of the hobby, being part of wanting to buy, selling, and collecting wherever he landed. In this case, it sounds like he's doing a lot of collecting and a lot of investing, but with that grind, he was introduced to things that related to the real world, and that stuff happens with comics. We see it all the time.
That's true.
I love seeing John's Comics with Kids, where he's like reviewing comic books with Kay and Charlie, who are awesome, by the way. Shout out to John's Comics with Kids. Go follow him on YouTube. But over the last few years, you know, they're like their family to us, right?
Right.
And with the medium of comics, their social interaction with the community has been outstanding to see. It's been so much fun seeing how like personable they are as a family. And it's like, wow, this was the catalyst to doing things, to stepping out of your shell, you know? And it's a beautiful thing to see. So comics do that. And that's a part of the community that the more publishers and creators see and value, they'll be able to tell like, oh, there's an added layer of responsibility beyond just publishing comics. No, you're serving a community at large, which is why the collectible market is so respected by many who are part of it. Because unless you are deep into the collectible, there are other areas like reading comics by hand. Like those are things that experiences that grow the community in ways that those who avoid it or those who are not part of it, they typically get introduced to it late. Does that make sense?
I think so.
I don't know. You follow me, Comic Fam? I don't even know anymore. Next.
I think I'm following. I'm hearing that you're speaking. Comic Tom, do you gym?
Absolutely. Dude, you can't not gym.
Once you
in
hit
comics.
30, you know, also you gotta take some stuff seriously after 30. It's like, oh
man.
God.
I've been on and off trying to keep up, you know, but
Mostly
I'll tell you, you want to know who really inspired me?
It's your boy Gem Mint.
Yeah.
Holy hell, Gem Mint.
He's probably sick of hearing it.
No, he can't be, man.
I would be.
That's the kind of dude like fuels him. He's like, hell yeah. Because he's getting people to go and hit the gym. I don't know if you guys have seen, but like pull up a thumbnail from a year ago and pull up a thumbnail last week. It looks like an entirely different person. And he hit the gym and it's like, oh, it's tough when I am getting ready with my day and I'm like, yo, Gem, we're about to record, right? What time do you want to start? And he goes, yo, let's start after I hit the gym. I got to come home, get ready, you know?
It's real though. It puts you in a whole different mindset.
I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be here not doing that.
Yeah.
I got to go to the damn gym.
It gets in your brain.
Yeah.
What the hell am I doing?
So anyways, go to the gym, Comic Fam. I recommend it. There's an aspect of it that I found myself enjoying more and more as I got into it. And then you kind of get on this grind that it becomes it's your own time. And I value that time. And it's like, it's good for your health. Let's do it.
There's not a lot of stuff in life that you can like chart and go like, I'm getting better at this thing. I'm doing better. Like there are times when I go in the gym and it's like, oh, I'm lifting more than I did, you know, last time I was here. Like
you feel better too.
I leveled up, you know? You don't get that feeling like definitively in like jobs or relationships, like in The Sims.
Yeah, we don't really talk about a whole lot of like personal stuff that much on the mic because there's so many funny books to talk about. But if you are going to the gym or, you know, inspired by members like Gem Mint, maybe we'll talk about it more because both of us are hitting the gym hard. Well, I mean,
you harder than you said off and on earlier, and I'm in an off period at the moment.
All right, there we go.
The switch shall soon be flipped.
But I know my dad just got a personal trainer. I know Jeff's been hitting the gym, you know, so it's like the whole team's kind of doing it more.
It's summertime, so it's like,
maybe with the community's help, we'll all be more inspired because the community inspires me to freaking roll, just like Gem Mint did. All right, why don't you read this one, man, because I cannot say this person's name. It says something medium.
Ganjabar. Rorschach, Supergirl, and Batman Catwoman are some of the best runs I've read recently. IDK, I don't know what everyone's problem with Tom King is, but I think he's one of the best writers of our era. Everyone loves Donny Cates, and I feel like his writing is lame. Laughing face emoji. Different strokes for different folks, I suppose.
That's so true, man. Before this show, legit, we got distracted because we were talking about the horror narrative Witches, the comic book.
Right.
And the first thing Ryan said was, I don't even really like that book. And I love that book.
Yeah.
So we have a disagreement. But then I figured out what the disagreement was. It's the writer.
Sure.
There's been more than like 5 occasions where I left a comic book written by Scott Snyder and you're like, it just wasn't for me. And I'm like, how? and then you explain, and it always comes down to the same thing. It's not the art, it's not the pacing. Well, maybe a little bit of the pacing, but it's the Snyder aspect of it.
The narration he does specifically.
Right?
I've gotten into it before, but Noctera just rubs me the wrong way.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I love Noctera. Come on.
He's got a new book dropping, I think, this week or next week about firefighters and wildfires, and I'm all over that. I'm going to be grabbing that, and I hopefully won't be saying the same stuff.
Aren't you glad that there are so many comics for us to read because some of us will navigate towards some writers? I mean, Ryan and I see eye to eye on a lot of things, but then all of a sudden, what? You don't like Snyder's? What? What's going on, man? But you know what? It keeps things spicy. Say, at least you say that.
I like unlike Gun Jabbar's medium here, I like Tom King and Donny Cates.
Dude, I constantly just scratch my head when people don't like Tom King, man. And I get it. Like, I understand it most of the time, but at the same time, I'm like, I had fun reading this, man.
Some of his books are less fun than others, but I think the three he points out here, Rorschach
Those are
and
excellent.
Supergirl, especially those two, I love. I
And
love
dude,
Rorschach. And
how
nobody
many
talks about
people would say that?
it. Not a lot of people. It's easier.
If you have a YouTube channel, I'll tell you how many people would say the opposite of that.
Yeah.
If they had a YouTube channel, because there's a lot of people who criticize those runs. There's probably people who are disliking the video right now.
Some people in the chat saying some bad things.
All right. You want to know something else that members in the chat are saying that are bad?
What?
Really bad.
Oh.
The comic book community has been infiltrated. This is not just happening on this channel, and it's not just happening on other members' channel. There are individuals, probably because they see the Marvel NFT buzz, that they're going, oh, wait a minute, comic books are a thing. And there is a little bit of a collector's value in comics, so they may be interested in NFTs and investing in crypto. So this is something that's been happening. This is why we need the community to comment like crazy on our videos, because if you don't, our comments are going to be invaded by members trying to take your damn money. And I'm not talking about in a good way. You know, like...
Is there a good way?
I mean, dude, hey, if there's a drop by Johnny Desjardins and it's like, yo, comic fan, oh, Patrick Gleason just dropped this
you're
comic.
Getting something in
yo,
return.
go get the comic book. It just dropped. So that's a good reason to comment. Or I'm speculating on this book. Go check this out. These people have it for cheap. Like, I love that kind of stuff. Go spend your money, get some books for a deal, help your fellow comic fan members. I mean, that's a good reason to be in the chat. But I'm talking like people soliciting you like what is clearly garbage. And this is what I know. This is how I know it's garbage. Someone named Jonathan Carl. This is all happening on the same day, okay? Jonathan Carl says, I'm a newbie. How can I earn as much as you do?
These were all replies on one comment that we deleted.
Different people.
These are 16 replies to one comment.
This was right here. This is a coordinated effort amongst 16 different accounts, Comic Fam, all to boost one comment. So I'm letting you know so you don't get swindled here, because we're trying to keep up with it, right? Jonathan Carl says, I'm a newbie. How can I earn as much as you do? Kura Bobby says, wow.
Believe Joanne Mary Grancelli is the best. Her trading skills are top notch.
Then Angelus Casa, another account, says, same here. I will praise Miss Joanne M. over and over again because she has great skills. I started with $2,000, and after 2 weeks, I received a return of $6,000, and then I continue with her ever since. She has been delivering. And yes, the grammar.
Seems legit.
It seems legit, but the grammar is a little off. But here's the thing. 16 comments later of different accounts saying the same thing. All just like playing with each other in the comments.
Making $80,450 weekly trading profit with her. Red flag, right?
Yeah.
$80,000 a week, and you're commenting on a Comic Tom YouTube video.
Yeah, about something that has nothing to do with the video. So this is terrible. So keep in mind, Comic Fam, we are not a channel that has dove into NFTs and specifics about investing in NFTs. I'll tell you, I love me some NFTs, the right ones. The community of NFT members are doing some next level stuff. Raf Grassetti, anyone? Like, it's getting pretty damn dope in that field. And we'll probably bring some comic books specifically that have been created through the NFT space. All for it. However, it's this kind of stuff that you got to watch out for because they're trying to get your money and we're trying to protect you.
Is there even a link to click on here for Mrs. Joanne Grancelli?
I mean,
these are people all just talking about her and pumping her up, but there's no like click the link now to sign up and.
Terrible.
I don't know.
They're trying to take advantage of it.
I guess laugh at it like we do because it's fun, but
it is kind of funny. All right, let's keep it rolling here because we're talking about funny books. Funny books. Okay, huge surprise here. But here's the thing.
I'm nervous about this one.
Ryan is legit nervous about this one. And this is something we've actually talked about before on the show, which is what's funny.
Have we?
we've definitely dabbled in this conversation, but we haven't gone all in because we're like, we're not a show talking about politics. Who gives a crap what Bleeding Cool is riffing on? And I love Bleeding Cool. Don't get me wrong, but we're not doing commentary on Bleeding Cool like, oh my gosh, call the comic police, kind of stuff, right? No, we're not doing any of that.
The comic police.
I don't know. Coming up with stuff.
That's a new show idea.
I know. Put your hands up.
Comic cops.
Comic cops.
Yeah.
There we go. No, and it's kind of fitting when we're talking about this, but without going too far into it, we're talking about Punisher today. Yes. And this book is going to get people to dislike this clip just because we're talking about Punisher. I find that hilarious. The reason why I find it hilarious is because Marvel pulled a fast one on so many damn people. Like legit. This book, I'll tell you, there was a time during the comic boom of 2020. That's one thing, or 2020 to 2021, and then all of 2021. Now we're kind of like leveling out a little bit, but it's still looking good. There was a point where Punisher didn't have an ongoing series, and there was a lot of PR issues with the Punisher, specifically prior to this comic ever being solicited, and what would be the change in his emblem as a result. Or so people thought. And I would hit the mic routinely to talk about the, Amazing Spider-Man 129. And a lot of the commentary on 129 was happening because of the comic boom, but also happening because of the lack of comics that were coming out that included the Punisher. There was a point where people thought the Punisher was not going to come back. I didn't think that, but people were talking about it like that. So people are scooping up Punisher keys. Is this a legacy character that's going to be gone? Are we ever going to see him on the screen again?
I mean, especially when you consider the screen aspect, right? He had 2 seasons of his own show, and that wasn't that long ago. Nope. I think it was like 2018, 2019. It was one of the later Netflix shows.
But people legit were hypothesizing that they would take over the Netflix Defenders and not bring over Punisher.
I mean, that makes sense, especially if Disney's going to take him over. Disney and this character don't really kind of, combine in that sense. Right. Plus, John Bernthal, the actor, he's gone on to do so many cool things.
Right.
Going back to a comic book role, maybe... I don't know what they're going to do with him. Maybe they'll just recast him. Maybe they'll not even... We didn't know what was going to go on with the Netflix Disney shows and whether or not they were going to get picked up and continued. And
right.
It makes sense. But also, Punisher was in the news, the actual news.
Yes.
For reasons. And so it made sense to kind of let him sit for a while. And now they're bringing him back. We are 3 issues into a new Punisher series.
Everyone needs to put this on their pull list. This right here is done by Jason Aaron. We have, it looks like shared credit for artists. I'm imagining it's the flashbacks that are being done by different artists. I could be wrong about that.
I think you're right. Yeah, it's definitely 2 different styles.
Yeah. Gabriel Ibarra. It was Jason Aaron and Jesus Says and Paul Azaceta. That's how you say it. So, Marvel was probably laughing at the internet throughout this entire damn time. I'm just going to say it.
A lot of mainstream news about the Punisher logo.
It was like world ending. Oh my gosh. When people saw that the Punisher logo was changing, right. They thought that Marvel was submitting to, some type of progressive leaning that would ruin the character. And was everyone freaking wrong? Trust in Jason Aaron.
Yeah.
Absolutely wrong. They couldn't have been more incorrect. Writers. How come there's so much commentary on the prior, and we're 3 issues in, and I have heard nothing about this comic book? They were wrong. Wouldn't you say they were wrong? I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a full change. Maybe Frank Castle has ditched his emblem forever, even though they're showing it in this comic book because he's put it aside. Even though he is now a worse Punisher, arguably, with the new logo on it that you would never want to put on if you were a superhero, because he is going layers further as the Punisher. He's like a crime boss murderer. He was a murderer before. Now he's an organized crime boss murderer. This is worse. The new logo is worse when you actually think of the parameters of why he's wearing it.
A worse situation, yeah.
No one saw that coming. No one did.
I mean, it's easy to read the headlines that, they're changing the logo and that's it, but you don't look into what they're changing it to or what the reasoning is or what's going on in the story, which I think is actually really fascinating and a really cool direction to take him in.
Some of the worst, let me rephrase that. Some of the best character development for a character I didn't know I needed. I really didn't. I would have been happy with whatever, like with this route. But there is an added narrative here that's giving you insight to Frank Castle's past, totally retconning stuff. We all thought that Frank Castle became the Punisher when his family was killed. Maria, Maria. All right, but that's not what happened. This started when he was like a kid. This is the kind of kid you don't want your kids to hang out with because he was killing people in Captain America pajamas. Similar to Captain America, he wore pajamas as a superhero costume if you didn't know that. There's some layers of comic book stuff here that's so damn good.
Your brain is
Frank
on fire
Castle
today.
is wearing Captain America outfits as a kid, killing people and lighting them on fire in his youth.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite issue of this run so far. We're 3 issues in, and there's a whole flashback sequence in issue 3 of his first kill was actually when he was 10 years old. So you kind of, you realize that, like, as horrible as this event was with him losing his family in an act of gun violence, Frank Castle was kind of a lost cause, like, right from the beginning. As a child, he was a murderer.
Right. He was a murderer. Look at this. The life of Frank Castle, all the killing, all the gun use. He's kind of a lone wolf, really. I mean, he's somebody who knows that there only needs to be one of them. He would probably want to fight the other person to try to do what he's doing because he knows that it's not good. And this is a narrative that gives him the one thing that would put him in a position to expand his efforts to enact vengeance. He's essentially leading a group of insane psychopathic ninjas and killing everyone in their wake.
Punisher is one of those characters that I never really bothered to read before. Like, Ghost Rider is another one that's in that category, so I don't know a whole lot about either of those characters, really.
Right. It's insane, man. We talked about Ghost Rider in the last few weeks. Some tropes. Some of these are tropes. Yeah, I get it. But like some of these tropes, you don't realize are needing to be attached to ongoing characters, legacy characters. Ghost Rider totally hit me out of it's just out of nowhere. Fantastic.
With how good it was.
With how good it was.
Yeah.
You know, Punisher just made that list.
Carnage
Marvel's just
doing
made that list.
Some really good stuff right now.
Wow.
Like surprising to me anyway.
Okay, so we're not going to dive too deep into Punisher, but what I do want to tell you is read all 3 issues. You are going to be excited. You're going to laugh at the media coverage of all of 2021. You're going to laugh.
I like his new logo, man. I think it's pretty cool looking.
I like it now more than ever because if you say that you don't like the design, it means that you don't like the way it looks. And guess what? This comic is all about why you shouldn't like this version of Frank Castle. It's brilliant. Marvel literally got you to do what they wanted. You don't like it? Good, because this is the bad logo. Not bad because it looks wrong. No, it's because Frank Castle is doing things he shouldn't be doing. He literally has to be enticed to such an extent that he is messing with like sorcery in this comic book.
Yeah. The Hand is up to some weird stuff. I don't know if
He
we're
is
spoiling
running-
issue 1.
No, we're not. We can get into it. He is leading the Hand.
Have we even showed that yet? There's
No.
there's a panel of him like with swords and his cool I just think it's cool. It's a cool
Okay.
direction to take him in.
Let's give you a little taste here, but the idea of the logo not being something to your liking is less about the design and more about what it represents. And that's the brilliance of what Jason Aaron has just laid out for the comic fam here. So, of course, Frank Castle, new logo, and he is using swords now. He's getting trained to be a more ruthless killer. This issue number 1 is called The King of Killers. And he is being described as the High Slayer of the Hand, who is a assassin group, and they worship literally a demonic beast, and they want to sacrifice to him. It's a very bad group, which is why it's the antagonist of Daredevil, you know?
Yeah. The Hand are not good guys.
Nope.
Like, I don't think anybody's going to tell you that. And
Probably
to see Frank Castle in charge of them, he is not a good person.
This right here is exactly the moment where you go, oh, wait a minute. We're not supposed to like this logo for reasons that for the last year and a half, people have been saying we shouldn't like this logo. Brilliant. So I'm not showing much of the comic, but I will show you the reveal of issue number 1 because some people may go, how do you get Frank Castle to do this? This is not a Frank Castle that would make this decision.
He would much if they came to him and were like, "Yo, we want you to be in charge of our ninja group." He'd blow your brains out basically. And
He
go on
would
his own.
add you to his
right
list.
He's a lone wolf.
Yeah, he would try to end that. That's his job. He looks at it like it's his responsibility, you know? But the Hand, dealing with sorcery, basically pulled a Pet Cemetery And what you're seeing on the screen, Comic Fam, is him at the end of the day, after leading this charge, killing so many people, perfecting his ninja skills, leading the Hand, an organization that's terrible, a terrorist organization, essentially. We have Maria, Maria. How is she alive? The Hand has made her
His dead wife has been like reanimated or something.
Reanimated, resurrected. This right here is the promise that if he does what he's doing, he may get his family again. And we're getting flashbacks, an origin story that's being retconned because he has, as mentioned in this video, been doing Punisher types of stuff since he was a kid. This is going to be a second printing cover.
The second printing of issue 3 is going to have this image from the inside on the cover, which I love. This shot of him, like, he kills a guy when he's a kid. There's a whole reason, but this issue 3 gets into it. And he's on the rooftop overlooking the guy's, like, smoldering corpse down below, and the smoke trailing past him leaves a skull design kind of imprinted over his black shirt here, which I think that's awesome.
How did Frank Castle become the Punisher's focus of so many of these narratives? But this is how he became the ruthless killer that he is. So that when he went full Punisher, it was as extravagant as it was, and why he became the hero he did, or anti-hero.
Also, when I see this image, I am reminded of the flashbacks from The Godfather Part 2 with Robert De Niro. Maybe that's just me, but
no, I think it's there.
The murdering on the rooftop and the whole flashback thing and the old timey vibe.
Oh,
it combines.
How he kills. Yeah, he does his first kill. The other thing that I'll also point out is that there is a very interesting narrative developing in why Frank Castle is of interest to the Hand. Because you know that they're not just doing this because they need a new leader. No, they're developing something. They think that he is someone important. There's like some low-key Paimon hereditary stuff going on here.
Yeah, we're bringing it back yet again.
We have to every single time.
Every single time.
Marvel absolutely pulled a fast one on every single person who complained. Oh my goodness, I'm glad I didn't complain myself. Let me know in the comment section. Blow it up. You guys are going to be pissed at me. I get it. Hit the like and subscribe while you're down there.
Fun one.
All right, over on Instagram, but I'm going to start changing this up to YouTube, all right? This is what we're going to be doing here going forward. Sometimes we do like, hey, give us a question, you know? Like, do you have a question for us? And then we'll talk about it on the mic. But what we're going to do going forward, comment on the video if you have a question for me or Ryan. And I'm going to pick one comment, and I may mention it on the show. I may bring you on the show, Comic Fam. That's amazing. How incredibly kind am I?
How kind are you?
It's pretty kind.
You're a pretty kind guy. Especially when you say it about yourself. It works really well.
I think so.
Am I not merciful?
There you go. It is. I'm typically humble, but I'll say I'm pretty kind. All right, let's do it. We have MCR11. This is his question. Name a modern key that seems way too cheap. Example. He gives 2 examples here. First, Riri, which I agree with, and Miles Morales, specifically Ultimate Fallout 4, the second print. I agree with both of those assessments. And for members who haven't noticed, we have some changes to the back wall, one of which you happen to be able to see because it's cropped, but it's still here. We have removed a comic book. I love me some Hero Trade, bad idea, but there has been a replacement. We have a 9.8 CBCS, Invincible Iron Man #9, the variant. First, Riri Williams. First full appearance. It's a glorious comic book. I think there's some major potential with that book, and I've owned it for quite a bit. Actually, not even quite a bit. I secured that in the last like 8 months. All right, so I agree with that. And the second printing of Ultimate Fallout 4 is one that I've always thought was grossly undervalued because this is the issue where it's revealed who the next Spider-Man is. So on the cover A, they kept it hidden and they put a shadow over Miles' face. But on the second print, you can see his face. For being the first full appearance of Miles Morales in a market where people value second printing so much, this is where you actually see Miles' face on the cover. And in a world where we have another layer of people are getting stuff graded and slabbed and hanging stuff on walls, showing their friends. Yeah, that's Miles. They covered him up, but that's Miles. That's what you get with Ultimate Fallout 4. The second print, you get to see it in all its glory. So I agree with both of those statements. I'm going to add one more, though, because MCR11 commented on the video and asked me. All right, so I'm going to give you something, a little bit of a tip here. That's how you know that I'm being honest, because I purchased this book. I'm hunting for this book. I want more copies of this book. If you go on eBay, you may fight me to get some of these copies. I'm hunting for them, but I'm telling the community this. So I'm probably creating some competition. But I do it for the comic fam. That's what I do. The Indiana Jones of Star Wars.
Oh. They're going to talk about an Indiana Jones key. It's like, I'm hunting for him, man. I'm fighting you for those Indiana Jones keys.
Hey, I'll tell you should be specking on
there?
Indiana Jones. Yeah, there's.
Are there
Yeah,
Indiana
Reggie
Jones
Collects
keys?
actually called that spec like 8 months ago because there's Indiana Jones 5 coming. It was super delayed. Keep an eye out for that in the dollar bin. But I'm looking for like modern keys that seem way too cheap that are bigger for the comic fam to consider. I'm talking about Dr. Aphra, Darth Vader, issue 3. 9.8s of that book have hit $500-$600. All right. And the reason why it did was partially because of the COVID, the pandemic effect and the long delays of Disney Plus. But we know early on that they were looking for an Indiana Jones type of casting. And then nothing has happened since then. We've actually heard rumors of Sabine Wren, Ezra Bridger, like that kind of stuff has actually started to play out. But then we haven't heard anything about Dr. Aphra yet. But now we're getting the Darth Vader tale, right? Like we're getting Darth Vader in his prime, you know, hating Christians and reprising his role. So that got me thinking, well, how have people given up on this book? Because it was hitting $500 or $600 highs at a 9.8, and now it's hitting $300. What? Almost half of what it was going for at its height. But we have no reason to stand back and go, oh, this is just not happening. So people have left the gas because too much time has passed. Great opportunities to secure a book that has great spec potential that could blow up because this character is a fan favorite. She's awesome. She's a lot of fun to read. And a great lead for any series. And then Black Chrysanthemum gets introduced in Mandalorian Season 2. If we see...
Did he show up in Boba Fett?
Excuse me.
It's like Season 3,
Thank you. Thank you for the correction. Showed up in technically Season 3.
Basically
but Book of
Season
Boba.
3.
So we know that Black Chrysanthemum is coming back. He's now working with the team. And we are now gone back in time where we know that Obi-Wan and Black Chrysanthemum have been, like, they crossed paths before. Are we not going to see Black Chrysanthemum in the Obi-Wan series? I hope we do. But I also hope that this is going to have some type of reveal this season, possibly, that introduces Dr. Aphra. But it doesn't happen here. It's probably going to happen somewhere else. Too many characters, comic fam. Too many characters for this not to happen.
I'm enjoying it.
All right. Oh my goodness. We're talking about...
I opened this and didn't even take it out yet.
Well, what do you got? All right. Last thing here. What do you... we're doing an unboxing too. Oh, you got the shirt.
I got a shirt.
So basically, Ryan, is your entire wardrobe being replaced by things that have been created by James Tynion IV?
Effectively.
Look at for
I don't know
those
how
who
that's coming up on camera.
Ryan is wearing his closet shirt proudly. And what is that shirt?
A new one.
What is that one?
I don't remember.
Substack, Jimmy T, James Tynion. Oh, Department of Truth.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's freaking sexy, Ryan.
This
Look
is gonna
at
scare
that.
People. I don't know if I can wear that. Where I can wear this.
That's kind of a weird thing because it looks like what is he gonna be? What is he gonna be eating? That's my question.
Chili dogs.
He's gonna be eating chili dogs. All right, there we go. That's a cool shirt,
I'm
man.
excited to rock this. I'm
I
gonna wear
like
this
that.
tomorrow at the shop.
All right, shout out Jimmy T because we're Department of Truth on the back.
Snazzy.
All right, comic fan, looking at a Department of Truth shirt that Ryan just got. I'll tell you, man.
Hell yeah.
Substack has brought me in hard because I'm buying more merch from this damn dude than I ever have.
Yeah, I
can't help it.
I just bought another shirt.
I just bought another
yesterday.
shirt too. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. I think I need like Scott Snyder, Donnie Cates. They need to start producing more shirts, man, because I'm just gonna be looking like a James Tynion
Like, what's it today?
advertisement.
James
you know?
Tynion a shirt out of 4. I got like 4 of them now at this point. I think that's number 3 or 4. I want to get the Blue Book one too. There's a Blue Book shirt. I want that one.
Big shout out to Nick Barucci in the chat. Oh my goodness. All right, here. Next part of the show. We're gonna be talking about. Should we hit him with it, man? I think we're gonna have to.
What are we hitting them with?
I think I want to hit him with the $100 keys, man. Should we do it now? This is gonna be a big one here, but we're gonna try to bust through it quick. What do you think?
$100 keys.
Right?
It's a little off-putting. Like, whoa, $100.
I mean, let's talk about it because you have dipped your toe in the collectible market way more now than ever. So we've talked about dollar bin keys. We talked about $10 keys, $20 keys, $50 keys, and we kind of alternate between all of these kind of things. But what I want to know from you, Ryan, is there a difference in your quest of acquiring more and more books when you look at a $20 or $50 price tag for a book? Are you thinking something different than when you are going to drop $100?
It's only happened to me once. My only quest is to get every Green Lantern book, which you may or may not have heard by now. I'm a Green Lantern fan. I want to get every Green Lantern comic that's ever been made. We'll see if I ever accomplish all of that. Don't know if I will, but we'll see. Last Comic-Con we were at, Emerald City, at the end of last year, 2021, I decided, since it's a convention, I'm going to have more chances to secure older books here. I figured I would take $100 out on the floor and try to get the biggest book I could with that price point.
Right.
I ended up getting two $50 books. I would have liked one $100 one, but I couldn't find one good enough that I wanted, and it was a whole thing. But
so I want to dive into that feeling, Ryan.
Yeah.
Fire guy Ryan in the house, by the way. Hit the like and subscribe button. So that feeling, the $100 marker, that's when things start getting real. Is kind of what I'm hearing you say.
Sure.
You want to find the right thing, and some of those right things are going to be different for everybody, right? So if you're looking to add something to your PC, and let's just keep Green Lantern as an example. HBO Max, Green Lantern's coming. We're going to hear more information on that. Hopefully it doesn't get delayed or doesn't get canceled, right? Like things happen, right? They just canceled the Wonder Twins stuff. But Green Lantern is a big property and has so much potential. So if they announce that Jon Stewart for sure is going to lead the show, let's just say, throwing this out there, that book is going to go nuts. It's going to go nuclear, more than it already has, right? And that comic book now has just become a book that maybe as a collector who wants to add it to your PC, it's not the time to get it. Because, hey, they made an announcement. This book is shut the hell up. Now, if you're going to pull a Darth Vader on us, and there is a Dr. Afra effect where now it's 2 years have gone and the book has dropped $200 in price for your target grade you're after, now's a great time, which is why I gave you that prior recommendation. So there are certain times to act, but other times to maybe hold back, wait, because there may be a lull. You may get it while it's in that lull when people aren't watching. But also, what goes into this decision in the first place? Are you trying to add it to your PC, or are you trying to speculate, have some comeuppance, or, perfect the hunt? Because that's actually really where you're going to find most of these decisions happening. It's less about I'm looking for one book at this price range and more about which books do I want to consider at that price range because it maybe seems safe. Maybe you think you can get your investment back easily and it has good potential of going up. But what you don't want to do is buy a $100 book, worst case scenario, and then see that it's selling on eBay for $25. That feeling, that face you just made, that is it personified. That is worst case scenario. So what I've done, hit the like and subscribe button, Comic Fam. Comic Fam, we got over 140 people here today and there's only 70 likes. Don't make me stop the show. I'll take the chat off.
Don't do it. He will.
Go hit the like button.
It's embarrassing and awkward and
I'm about to give you guys an insight in my brain. I picked 10 $100 keys that when I'm out at comic stores, at conventions, if I see them in the grade that I like, I pull the trigger and I don't even think anything about it. $100. Good. I'm feeling confident. I'm going to give them to you right now. Go hit the like button and let's start into it. Let's jump into it at number 10. Powered by the best comic app in existence, Key Collector Comics. Use code TOM101 on the best app to buy and to learn about funny books, to research funny books, to get full categories so that it can organize what you should be paying attention to, news, key alerts, get suggested pricing, catalog your books, and get approximate collection pricing. I am like fumbling over words because I'm so excited because this is something that we don't typically do, but I had to go through because $100 keys, ooh. It's one thing to be like, here's a $10 book, here's a dollar bin book, because hey, if something goes wrong, what? You lost $1.
Sure.
$100? If I'm wrong about one of these books and it fails, someone's gonna be pointing me to this video going, Tom, you let me wrong. And I don't do that on this channel. 4 years and running.
There's a different angle to these books in particular. When we looked at, we kind of previewed some of them for me before this show, and a lot of them we look at, and I'm surprised that they're here.
All right, let's do it.
That's a different angle, I think.
Exiles number 3, $100. First appearance of Peggy Carter as Captain America. First off, it's a comic book, right? Like when you saw this list, you saw this book, the first thing you said is, that made sense.
Yep. So I just like it because it's got that cartoon Wolverine on the front too. I love that guy. Regardless of Peggy Carter and all that, she's cool. But I love this cute little animated Wolverine down at the bottom.
Absolutely. This right here is another out of continuity type of situation. And I want to point everyone towards, because a lot of people are going to be like, yo, Captain Carter, right? Or first Peggy Carter, good luck, right? But when you look at Jane Foster, first Thor, there are so many key comic books that you can point to in regards to which is going to be the most similar to what we're about to see in Thor Love and Thunder in like a week, by the way.
You serious?
Yeah, it's like coming out in like a week. So,
damn.
With that said, with all the spec happening and all the variants and all the low print, there's a lot of them. Second, third, fourth printings. True believers, yo. All these variants that are in like the modern times of Jane Foster Thor, it all goes back to what if. Always. It always goes back to What If, because that is the book that at every convention, every dealer, they'll look at Peggy Carter's 9/8, you know, they'll look at these Jason Aaron Keys, right? Of course, they'll do all this. But they don't look at them the same as they look at that What If. And collectors don't either. Even if it's out of continuity, even if she didn't call herself Thor, she called herself Thordis. You know, what if Jane Foster lifts Mjolnir? That OG What If book, it reigns supreme. That is her key. This right here is Peggy Carter's. This is what's going to happen. It's already happened. Let me show you some more pricing here because there's variance to it. If I were to put money down on a book that was more than $100, I'm giving you some added comics to add to the list. This is more than 10. Hit the like button. We have Exiles 3, the 1 in 10 from 2018. This is the Rosie the Riveter cover. It's just classy as all hell, man. She looks powerful. Also, there is another cover that she's on, but it doesn't sell as well as the other. And this is one of those things where I got to just point to it. The cover matters for certain keys. There's different layers to, oh, it's another month? Oh my gosh, maybe I'm way off here.
It's Miss Marvel that starts like tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, I'm doing like a whole...
That came up on me too.
Oh my gosh, my Whatnot stream is all about Jane Foster next week. I probably scheduled it way too soon. Okay.
Whoopsie.
Here we go. So Exiles number 3, we have a 1 in 25 variant that sells for less than the 1 in 10. This right here proves cover art matters on these types of keys, especially when they're out of continuity.
She's like in the background. Yeah, it's definitely weird.
She's there.
Namor being weird.
This is the first appearance. This is also, as Captain America, but this is also the first, like, the scarcest variant of the batch, and this sells for less than the Rose of the Riveter. So sometimes you got to go with your gut, is what I'm saying. All right, let's keep it going. Safe bet, $100 all day long. All day long.
Sure.
Darth Vader 6. First appearance of the Grand Inquisitor. First appearance of the Inquisitorius. Yep. First appearance of the team as well. $100, but $100. But get this. Back in March when we knew this was coming, $600 at a 9.8. Dropped to $400 earlier this month. Remember what I told you?
Yeah.
Got to wait sometimes. Sometimes it's, depending on the hype, it may keep going up and climb. But some characters you got to assess. This is one where I would reach out to one of my homies, like Nate Johnson or something, someone who really knows their Star Wars, because I don't know it as well as they do, and know that, okay, this is like, it's an important thing, but how they handle it is also going to be important on whether or not it's going to maintain. This book has dropped under $300 this month. Why would that be, Ryan? At a 9.8.
This character was introduced in the Obi-Wan show,
Yep.
and then immediately killed in the second episode.
Yes.
Supposedly, even though he appears in canon later on, which
That's right.
implies that this death is not real. But that's a good point on making sure you are keeping a close eye on stuff and ready to pull the trigger at any time, because this is a brief lull in what we can assume will spike back up once this character reappears, hopefully, because he was a really cool, scary dude. I'm kind of surprised they got rid of him so early, and I'm hoping he comes back. I thought he was a cool villain in this show.
He's too strong to not come back. The odds of them creating another type of character
his
looks
twin
just
brother.
like that is,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, they've done crazier stuff, man, but like, who knows? I don't think so. He was in Rebels, which takes place later. So he'll come back. That's the only reason why I think people would be seeing, like why we're seeing these comic sales go under market, because I think the people who are speccing on this book are holding. They're probably not buying more when they should be. Possibly. Great opportunity. But I'll tell you one thing. If I'm not getting a $300 book at 9.8, because I think that's a good deal, by the way. If you can get it for $300 all day long, especially where we're at right now, it's a good risky bet. But $100 for a high grade copy on a difficult to secure in that grade because of that black cover? Easy choice. Easy choice. Let's keep it going. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur #1 goes for $100 right now. That doesn't even make sense.
This was my first biggest, like, what the hell is this doing in here? I feel like I thought she was more, popular or valuable or rare than this.
It's because of how long it's taken for the show to debut. And the show is going to be wild.
An animated series. Oh, obviously, they can't get a real dinosaur, but like a cartoon of this has potential to be just wacky as all hell.
I think so too. I also think that
that white cover, though.
White cover. Yes,
Yeah.
man. I'm glad you said that because I have owned this comic book many times. I've never graded the copies I've gotten because they've all had problems. Print rub is notorious on this. The spine. I remember I think it has I could be wrong, but I think it's a little bit bigger in size. I could be wrong about that. Butch is jumping on me right now. Shout out to Comic Butch. There is a variant to this, and here's another lesson for variant covers. Got to go with your gut. This is cover A, and I think this is a classic cover. Fans of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, new fans of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, when the media mainstream goes viral with talking about this show, if it's really good, which I think they're going to use this cover to market it. They're going to be like, from the comic book, and they're going to use this image. What image they won't use is the variant that's rarer, and it's a 1 in 25. And this book does go for more money, $350, because it's a 1 in 25. But here's the thing. The second print is the same as the first, different trade dress, and it goes for $150. It goes for more than cover A. This book in high grade is going to be so damn tough, and we're in a world now where people don't really care about it being released shortly after cover A. People forget, and they just think about the year it came out and go, yep. Can you take it off? Awesome.
Sorry, dude.
So let's do this, man. Keeping it going. Comic books in the house, but we have Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur. Also, the Jeffrey Veregi cover. Another example of variants that we, you would assume that a hip hop variant would do really well, but the homage that it's to Summertime by Vince Staples. Is it Summertime 06?
Yeah.
This is so minimal and negative space it's a negative space cover that it just doesn't land as well. Thus, the second print sells for more.
Yeah, this one isn't very exciting unless you're a giant fan of this original art, the actual album that this is homaging, or if you're collecting the entire run of hip hop stuff.
But shout out to Jeffrey Veregi. I hope he's doing well because an amazing artist in the PNW. All right, keeping it going. Marvel Team Up 95, first appearance of Bobby Morse as Mockingbird, 1980. It's an older book, right? But dude, they're like all the spec it's just lining up too perfectly for Hawkeye's wife to be Mockingbird in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That the day that happens, this book is not only going to maintain what it's hit at its heights, it's going to go up. And this is a book that a lot of people love. Just like the look of it, you got Spider-Man on the cover, Mockingbird on the cover. It's just a perfect storm. I
like that cool green too. Like just the actual color of it is nice.
Right.
Wasn't she his wife in the MCU? Isn't she like an ex-agent of some kind? Right? Aren't there like hints of her being like something? I don't remember Hawkeye very well.
She's
show, but
really good at figuring information out. Like she's not just the stay-at-home wife that they kind of alluded to.
A lot of times they'll do like, here's my significant other. She isn't my wife the greatest, and you get like 1, maybe 2 scenes with her, but she pops in a lot.
It's part of the narrative, man.
What are you doing here still?
Yeah,
there's something's going. You're here too much to be a nobody character. Like,
don't forget. Lulls. Again, there's going to be times. There were so many delays. You got to consider, imagine if Hawkeye came out a year prior and where we would be now. It's going to come up and surprise you, these types of things. Because the comic market is going to do what the market's going to do. Disney's going to do what they're going to do. It takes just one moment in time, one cameo, one announcement. Anything can happen. So keep an eye out for Marvel Team Up. $100 high grade. Keep an eye out because this green cover that goes into kind of a lighter background towards the bottom, it gets color break so easily. You'd think it would be easier than just a solid black cover, but to me, it's essentially the same. It sticks out just as bad, which is kind of weird. It's just like some comics, you just got to have handled them multiple times to know this, but this one is a tough book. All right, moving on to Strange Academy #1. This is a 2020 run. Humberto Ramos, Scotty Young. One of the most spec'd on books with no hype being added on, no fires being stoked from any speculation, any rumor mill, any insider dishing out info and leaks.
This is optioned or anything.
This right here is purely speculation from the comic community who know when they spot a good comic that is perfect for a larger general audience, that would be perfect for the screen.
There are certain books in recent history that I kind of really regret not getting. This is definitely one of them. I let my prejudice against magic stuff. I'm not even going to get that book. It's for kids. It's about magic stuff. Pass.
Same. Not my favorite thing. Sorcery isn't my favorite, especially horror kind of sorcery, and comedy gets mixed into that a lot.
Nothing but good things about this run, and Scotty Young as a writer. I actually like his writing a lot more than his art. For me personally, but
it's the sorcery doesn't. Sorcery is what brings the team together, like all the kids. But this right here is the closest thing to like the School of Mutants, that you get in comics. It's ongoing right now, and they just stopped what'd they say? The semester is over for the run. They're starting it back up with the second semester, or is it
A new number one,
new
probably. Is that
year.
what they're doing?
Yeah, it's a new number one, but it's like another, it's another season. It's another
sophomore year or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this is like the closest thing to Harry Potter in Marvel Comics that we have right now. And I'll tell you, if Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur is as good as it is, that's why you're seeing this book go for $100 damn in near mint. And
All
side
those
note,
first appearances too.
dude, look at the list.
Yeah.
Ah, damn. So, 15 variants listed on Key Collector. If you look at the bottom right of this screen, let me see if I can bring it up here for you. It's right by Ryan. I can't do it. But on the bottom, here, actually, I'll make it small for you. That's a better way to do it. Making it small. Oh my God, it's so small. Ryan, above your head, it says right here, I can't get you off this damn screen. It says view variants. That's how you check the other variants here, so you don't miss any, because we're not going to go through all of them. We're going to highlight some of the bigger ones to kind of prove our point. So this is Strange Academy #1, white cover, lots of print rub, but it was also printed pretty, there's a lot of people who ordered this book, but they did go to multiple printings. So go for a 9.8 if you're going to go for it. But take a look at this. I have two variants to highlight from this run that you should consider. This one's expensive, but this is the most expensive one that seems like it's going to go the distance long term. So if you're looking for an entry $100 copy, you want to be conservative, you're not going to feel really worried about the book. I think you're going to always be able to get $100 plus or minus $20 for that book, because the spec is so damn spicy. But the variant, this is where you're taking some risks, all right? Because average high sales of 280. 9.8s are going to be going to the moon. But this variant cover is a Breakfast Club homage, and it's a 1 in 50. So it's the rarest of the batch, as far as incentives go. But it's also a classic movie homage. So that's one to be considering, because it is clearly already outshined the others. But there is one that sells for a lot of money that could go the distance further than Strange Academy, the 1 in 50. You ready for it, Ryan?
I think so. Oh, no, I wasn't ready.
It's a store variant, which is a very strange thing to say, but selling for equal amounts. The Virgin copy by Peach Momoko coming out in the same time. It's Strange Academy #1, features Magic on the cover by one of the most popular artists of our generation. We have Magic, Peach Momoko. This one right here is the potential variant grail, in my opinion. I could be wrong about this. The fact that it's selling for as much as the 1 in 50 variant, and it's a Magic Peach Momoko cover. You have the layers of keyworthiness here that would attract multiple buyers. This one right here can surprise the entire community long term.
It's a perfect storm for you, especially. You love Magic. You love Peach.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Peach fan. She's hit or miss for me, but I love this one. Like, I love the background here. It's like almost like a glitter effect or something. It's not a plain white background. It's got like some kind of grit or texture to it.
That's right.
The sword,
Everything.
it's got like flames on it or something.
All the the dots and the paint splatter.
Yep.
It's so cool.
I'm
All
into
right.
it.
Shout out Peach Momoko. All right. Next one on the list. We're supposed to be going through numbers here. So this one right here, that was number 6. So this is number 5. Halfway through the list. Let's pick it up a little bit. Black Panther 1, April 2009. First cover appearance of Shitty as Black Panther. This is a tough book and high grade. This is like what, mid 2000s era?
Dark
09?
Reign. Yeah. So like right around the turn of the 2010s.
Not the greatest. Not the greatest time for paper quality, but
Better than sometimes.
yeah,
I
sure.
believe they progressed beyond the crappy newspaper era of the
Oh, for sure.
the older years.
But this one right here is just a classic key book that, yes, there is rumors that we may not see Shitty take on the mantle of Black Panther, but I think that's what really people want. And if it doesn't play out, how will this book do long term? It may see some lulls, but what I'm saying here is that $100 for this book is what this book deserves to be. So if it does see lulls because she doesn't take on the mantle right now, just wait. Maybe she'll take on the mantle another time. But I don't see the prices going for far less than what they are right now for this book. And that's one of these areas of sometimes you're just buying and you have to go with your gut. If you go to the store and you're looking for 10 things, what are the odds that the LCS is going to have all those 10 things? You may get lucky if there's one of these things. You are even luckier if they're a higher grade, right? You're buying them off eBay. You may get lucky with a gorgeous copy that can grade at 9.8, or they may ship it crappily. You may get dinged on the way in. Maybe they didn't take very good pictures and now it's actually an 8.5. So you're taking risks no matter what in this industry, right? However, this book seems like a book that if you decide you want to get out of, I think it's going to go for $100 no matter what. Especially considering you got the J. Scott Campbell effect, hot damn.
That's true. This is a J. Scott Campbell cover.
There we go. So you have the
Should have been able to tell by that microscopic waist she has.
Yeah, for real. This right here is a thing. Like Comic Karma's a thing. The J. Scott Campbell effect is real.
Equally powerful.
Oh, dude.
If not more so.
I would say more so.
Nah, we're stronger.
No, you're right. But when J. Scott Campbell's on the cover, there's an added layer of assurity that you are going to be in good hands because the J. Scott Campbell fans are ravenous. Point in case, this book goes for $100. There are variants to this comic book. You want to know the rarest variant of this book? It's the same cover, sketched and in color. It's like a half-half sketch, black and white cover, but Shooty is in full black. We have the J. Scott Campbell sketch variant. $1.3 thousand high average sales, hot damn. If that doesn't prove that when you have a J. Scott Campbell key and there's any level of risk, if J. Scott Campbell didn't do this cover, I would not be going on the mic right now to say, everybody, Shooty may or may not happen, $100, feel good about it. I wouldn't say it. I would have put something else on there that seemed a bit safer because I'm trying to steer the community right. This right here proves that the J. Scott Campbell effect is so damn real that you can have a layer of just peace of mind that you'll be in good hands. It's not going to steer you wrong, comic fam. Next on the list at number 4. Web of Spider-Man, number 118. Some members are going, wait a minute, what's going on? What happened? Is there more Ben Reilly Spec right now? No. Not really. I mean, he's a villain right now. We just got this, whole arc where he goes full, crazy.
The end of the last writer, the last volume of Spider-Man.
I didn't hate it. I kind of enjoyed it. A lot of people didn't like it, but I liked it.
I did too. The Beyond stuff?
Yeah, the Beyond stuff. This comic book, $100, high average sales. There are a lot of members in the nostalgia cycle right now. People who just turned 30, 32, 33. There's a lot of members in their 40s who were into comics as young adults who found favor to Ben Reilly. There's a lot of people who like Ben Reilly. What's funny is that there's not a whole lot of good Ben Reilly, but they always feel let down because they're waiting for real good Ben Reilly because they really like the character and they want it to be done right. They believe in Ben Reilly. I have a lot of friends who I'll just chat with, just comic fan members, dealers, people who've been collecting comics for 10, 20 years. And this is one of the most common comic books that I get told that they want in a 9.8. And I'm like, really? Like more than 5 people, different people that don't know each other in my life right now. If I had a 9.8 Web of Spider-Man number 118, I can think of multiple people I can hit up and go, you want this book? And they pay top dollar for it right now.
It's interesting. I've never read the Clone Saga, but all I've ever heard is how bad it is.
Yep. That's exactly my point.
Hate Ben Reilly, hate
That's
the Clone
what I'm
Saga.
saying.
You
But-
fast forward 30 years and now everybody wants it.
That hate?
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Star Wars prequels.
Whoa. Hayden Christensen.
Exactly.
Everybody's rejoicing right now.
Exactly.
Hayden Christensen this. Where, oh my gosh, standing ovation, he's back. We've been waiting for... Never.
Right?
No one. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. So I'll stand back and I'm assessing the fandom. I'm not wrong about this. Comic fan in the chat, let me know. How surprised are you that everyone was so excited about Hayden Christensen reprising his role when no one liked him in the prequels? But that's the thing. Nostalgia's a hell of a thing.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Ben Reilly. Clone
Same
Saga.
thing.
Same thing going full circle. Hot damn, comic fam. There's some damn good comic book content. Let's do it. All right, we got...
This blew my mind.
Yeah, man.
Why is this? I thought this was a mistake. You accidentally put the wrong photo in here. This $100 for a high grade copy of this.
Iron Man 128, Demon in a Bottle. I'm just warning the community. Up until now, I'll say grab it if it's $100 because I think it's a good deal. So some risks, always. But numbers 3, 2, and 1 shouldn't be on this damn list because they should sell for more. I said it. Iron Man 128, 1979, classic as all hell cover. This is one of those comic books that when people learn about it and they're new to collecting, they say, I want to save up and buy that. I don't care if it's in VG. It's a damn great book, man. One of the most pivotal moments for Tony Stark, who's the leader of the Avengers of the
most
first
pivotal storyline for him. There's not a whole there's not a breadth of crazy Iron Man plot lines that everyone loves and goes back to year after year. But
That's what I'm talking about, dude.
the alcoholism is a key It's actually having a lot of ripple effects in the current Iron Man run right now. His addiction.
Oh, man, this is what it's about, comic fam. OG comics that are trying to compete with modern era variants that are selling for the same. Not all keys are alike, of course. This key should be selling for more money than it does. I don't even have a bias on this one. This is a badass comic book.
$100. Even I would buy it as somebody who doesn't really even care for keys.
As someone who says, like, when I go to a convention, what should I look for you? Like, what should I look out for you, Ryan? And you just go, just Green Lantern, you know?
Green Lantern stuff.
But if you were at the show and you saw this, you'd be like, oh, screw it, I'm gonna get this book.
$100 for this? Yeah. For me personally.
This is what I'm talking about. Always fluctuates, as our member Random Abyss. No, that wasn't Random Abyss. It was Finite Joy. Yep. It fluctuates and it shouldn't. This should be just cemented as an amazing key book that people hunt for because it's damn cool. Next one on the list, ASM 298. Okay. Again, I'm hitting you with some big ones here. This book should be worth more than $100. Cameo appearance of Venom. 9.8s, $1,000. $100 for lower grade copies. High average sale. This comic is the first ASM Todd McFarlane book. You have McFarlane all over this damn cover. Changing comics forever, essentially. And I'll do you one step further. Add another book to this list that I'm not even going to show on the screen because we have McFarlane greatness on the screen right now. ASM 299. Last 9.8 sale, $700. Second McFarlane cover. First appearance of Venom in a comic in full, according to Tom McFarlane. According to me. According to a lot of people. Except for Wizard, which caused it to push to 300. Listen to the interview that we did with Tom McFarlane. He'll talk to you about that. How are both of these books sell for under $100? They shouldn't. This is part of the trifecta. They're huge books. And it's one of the first things people try to get and collect beyond a milestone issue. Enough said with that one. Last but not least, number one on my list, Wolverine number one, first solo series, in an ongoing solo series, not the limited series, Frank Miller.
First ongoing solos. Okay.
First ongoing solo, Wolverine number one, first as Patch in that like classic black Wolverine costume. 1988, I sit in front of a newsstand copy, which you can secure right now, not mine, but like in the marketplace for under like $800 right now. And this right here is just more words of advice. It's not just about the specific book that you're banking on. It's the corresponding keys that when those go up, there's going to be, the floor is going to lift, the ones that are surrounding it. And the books that surround Hulk 181, which has become easily the most sought after Bronze Age comic book of all time, is going to be like, yeah, Hulk 180. Yeah, of course. But you have the limited series by Frank Miller.
Can't have this discussion again. Move on past 180.
I know, right?
We'll get
Ryan, you don't even agree with the community. We're not going to get into it. But then you have Frank Miller, limited series number one, that classic, he's like, come to me kind of cover. And then we have Wolverine number one in his solo series. This is what it's about. So shout out to all the Comic Fam members in the chat who are going, this is cheap, 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 cheap. Come on. They agree. It's amazing what we're doing here, Comic Fam. We're supplying you with so much ammunition. We're gonna take you there.
I just thought this whole section was interesting, man. A lot of these books felt like they did not belong on that list.
That's what I try to do, Comic Fam. I try to make it so that you guys know what's up. All right, check this out. We're gonna do a quick little shout out. Shout out to Dynamite Comics, an amazing publishing company who holds some very valuable IPs in my book. They're the ones who brought Draculina to the pages of comic books since her creation back in the golden age. Vampirella, of course, Betty Page, 007. Yeah, that IP is owned by Dynamite Comics, but we also have The Boys, Red Sonja. Come on. And they have a Kickstarter that I just want to shout out. This is not a sponsored post. I was a big fan. We just actually teamed up with Dynamite and we released 2 different Boys exclusives for the Mystery Mail Call, cover done by Ben Templesmith, Starlight, and a cover done by Johnny Desjardins, which was of Homelander. And what an amazing thing to be able to do. We also brought Boys 1 by Ben Templesmith to press last year, and that was one of my favorite variants I've ever done because I've been such a big Boys fan. And because they own the IP, they made it possible for us to bring a very respected and popular title to press. Well, if you want to read The Boys, which I encourage everyone to do, mature readers, take a look at this. They have already funded this project to $52,000, The Boys Oversized Omnibus Hardcover Collection. Let's take a look.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by our
hold
campaign.
That's Nicky B. Nick Barucci, my brother. And he's in the chat right now. Shout out to Nick.
And considering supporting it. The boys are back in town. It's season 3, and we couldn't be more excited to bring you a new program. We have 3 deluxe hardcover omnibuses, which cover the initial 90 issues of The Boys, the 72-issue series, Hero-gasm, Butcher Baker, Candlestick Maker, so much more.
That's everything.
These are just beautiful deluxe hardcovers that you can put on your bookshelf. You can get all 3 signed by Garth and Derek. Those are in limited supply. We also have the initial trade paperback omnibuses with The Boys. You've got Butcher, Chewie, you've got Mother's Milk, the female, Frenchie, and the entire cast, plus the photo covers with Carl Urban, Jack Quaid, and all the other cast of characters. They are huge books packed with over 90 issues of the wildest comic you'll ever read. These are
Kamiko.
Being printed in North America so that shortly after the campaign, you'll be able to get these. And because you can't have a comic book project without comics, we also worked with Garth and Derek to come up with 3 beautiful virgin covers. We are going to have limited edition covers to The Boys Hero-gasm, which is one of the story arcs in season 3, plus The Boys Highland Laddie, Wee Huey's story, and finally, Butcher Baker Candlestick Maker.
Which is the reason why my cat's name is Butch, by the way.
Did you notice that in the chat? Someone asked
Butcher
earlier.
became who he is.
Letting you know.
And they're presented in virgin portrait cover art. Like all the crowdfunded comics, these are extremely limited and will be very difficult to find. Don't miss out on a whole host of available items. Thank you very much, everyone.
Dynamite Comics, bringing The Boys back, and I freaking love it. That's how you know that that we're in good hands with a publishing company who's like taking the lead on one of the best superhero shows that exists right now. Boys, man, I've watched the season 1 and 2 3 times, or rather, 3 times over at this point. It's my favorite superhero show that's on television. And I love everything that's happened on Disney Plus, man, but like nothing beats The Boys. All right, moving on to the next section of the show because Jonathan Hendrick absolutely slays it. He did it again, comic fam. He did it again. Recount Preamble, issue number 1. We've already reviewed the Recount. This was one of my favorite Scout comic books that exists, and I love me some Scout comic books.
That's true.
All right?
Might be my favorite book they've ever done. I feel like I say that a lot about different Scout books, but I love the Recount.
Yo, I want to show you guys something really freaking sexy. Look at this. In my hands, I have my, this was released at MegaCon. This is the Nate Made It Purge homage of the book that we're talking about right now. Shout out to Nate Made It. I had the graphic here, but now everyone can see it here on the camera. So this right here is one of my favorite Nate Made It variants that he's done. It's outstanding. And wow, we got lucky because this book is perfect for this cover that we made. And possibly one of the best prequels I have ever read in comics, at least in the last 10 years. I can't remember the last time I read a prequel and enjoyed it so much.
There's a lot of times when I hear a prequel issue for a book I love, and I'll get it, and
It's
I'll
like
be
zero. You just don't even get it sometimes.
why did I even read this? Well, that's the reaction I get a lot of times when I read a prequel or a 0 issue for something that I love. Like, this was a waste of time. This didn't add anything new. This did not make me want to dig out the other issues and jump back into it all over again.
What did you do immediately when we were...
Meanwhile, when it came to the Recount, this came out, I think, last week, maybe the week before.
Yep.
And I read it as part of my weekly pull, and I didn't go back and read the whole series. I just jumped straight into this prequel, and it worked so well that when we were thinking of ideas for books to talk about, and I was like, let's do this Recount book. And then I went back and reread
the whole thing,
the first volume of the Recount, and then jumped into the prequel here, and it makes it like it works on so much of a better level once you have the real story fresh in your mind, the original story.
Jonathan Hedrick, the writer, do you hear that? You put out a prequel, and it made one of your fans, including me, reread the comic again. That's how you know you did something right. Also, we have pencils by our artist, Gabriel Ibarra Nunez. And I don't want to dive too deep into this issue beyond the ability that Jonathan was able to accomplish, which was weaving a prequel into a narrative that was already written in the initial issues of the Recount, 1 through 5.
I read 5. 5 was the first
1 through 5, right? The first volume. This right here has so many ties to that ongoing issue that when you read it consecutively, oh, wow, the foreshadowing was real, and it was done like Quentin Tarantino style, in reverse.
Yeah, I liked it so much more after the context of the first 5 issues. But, like, what's the general premise for people watching this who have not really read the Recount yet?
The Recount is a 5-issue series by Scout Comics that dives into a very quick moment in American history where the president gets assassinated, and all hell breaks loose because there is a terrorist
by
attack.
a member of the Secret Service, not just by some guy in the crowd, but like by somebody who's
in the
a
inside
government employee supposed to protect him, ends up shooting the president. Then that guy gets killed immediately after. So now everyone is wondering, what was his motive? Who was he working with? What was the greater
Why
mystery
did this
behind
happen?
all of this? Can't answer it now because that guy got killed. So it's like everyone's really unsure about like, can we trust the Secret Service? Are we safe?
Yep.
And it turns out like no, like the whole government like pretty much collapses after that, and it's a scary comic in some ways.
It's a political horror because half, as some elections go, half the people don't like the results. I mean, most of the time, like close to half, a lot of the time. So in this reality, we have the opposing side who doesn't like the regime. There's a group, a large group that's infiltrated the government, and they have created what is akin to a terrorist organization to bring down the existing regime, but also to attack those who put them in power, including those who voted for them in the first place.
Right. They go and mention like, hey, we're going to go after all the politicians who endorsed them and people who fundraised for them and all the big, contributors and also all the voters too. Anybody who, and we know who you are.
Yep.
Like whether or not you have like I voted sticker or whatever, like we know. Like,
yep.
Regardless of how much you may or may not advertise. So it just results in complete chaos on the streets, which is kind of like, it made me think about it. Like this is actually a surprisingly good cover to do for this comic because it does give off really good Purge vibes.
So that's what it's like because one of the strongest parts, and I told Jonathan this in person when I met him at MegaCon, is that the Recount series, the first arc, it really takes place over the course of a short amount of time. Oh, yeah. It kind of felt like, it felt like a show I couldn't think of. And then in person, he said, "Oh, I wanted it to be like you were reading 24."
Okay.
Yep.
What did I compare it to? Designated Survivor is an even deeper cut, starring Kiefer Sutherland as well. Like 24, yeah. It's like a sequel series, almost a spiritual sequel that deals with what happens when people in the government start dying, and you have questions of who's next, who's in charge, really.
Right. Absolutely. It's very similar. And that's how he's able to accomplish that over 5 issues, which is like, that's a lot of narrative to happen in a short amount of time. But because there's so much chaos, there's a lot of fun stuff that he's able to write, but also characters he can introduce because it's a full fight. It's just attack after attack. So we have different scary people under masks that are causing a ruckus.
I don't know if this is how it happened for you, but you mentioned, yeah, there's a lot of, narrative that gets thrown at you in those 5 issues, and some of the smaller character beats and backstory and stuff can kind of zip by you because you're so tense and reading the action. But going back and rereading it with this prequel in mind,
preamble just tied it like a bow.
So many of these little conversations that you kind of just breeze past in the main book. It's
yeah.
Oh wait, no, that was a thing that happened that mattered, and you can see it unfold more here in this preview, in this preamble issue.
This right here is a perfect example because there is a time during the initial run that we find out about a character's experience as a kid fishing.
Right, and how they're just a poor family, and his dad was a fisherman, And there were times where like the salmon would grab the bait and zip off before he could catch the fish, and his family would be out of luck and they wouldn't be able to eat the food, eat the fish. So the dad had to make a decision sometimes, like, do I risk the bait and try and catch a bigger fish, or do I just take a bucket of like shrimp home to feed my kids? And that turns out to be like a weirdly irrelevant character beat for this guy throughout the rest of his life.
And it's part of that frustration with money and power and like hierarchies in communities that leads him down paths that makes him angry, that forms a lot of this faction that takes place. Well, here we go. We're in preamble and we're learning about this character, and we're getting a fishing scene that was foreshadowed in the series. And what we're finding out is that this character, this child, was born, but the mother during her birth was unfortunate in that there were other individuals in the hospital getting priority at the time.
He was born the day JFK was assassinated.
Right.
So it was literally like all hands on deck to save the president. Meanwhile, this mom going into childbirth, she doesn't survive. And the kid that's born is now the main character here. So immediately from birth, he's got this like,
your mother
distrust
died
of the
because
government.
of leadership.
Right.
Decisions.
Failure in government to protect, It's an interesting way to start this kid's life.
Right. Well, then we see him learning from his father, and we progress this story to see how he actually becomes a military man and how he is really good at what he does. He's,
A leader.
tactical, right?
Yeah, and he learns some lessons here that may not be the best, but we're watching a villain origin story in this issue. So you're seeing how somebody becomes a bad person.
This right here may be one of my favorite takes on really, you just said it. It's a villain origin story, and I wasn't expecting that with preamble, but wow, there's a reason why a recount needed to be taken place. And it actually dives into that in this book. We find out more about the name Recount and why this title exists for this book in this prequel more than in the actual series that debuted over a year ago.
Yeah, and that book definitely felt more like an action series. Like it was the new president and her Secret Service agent trying to stay one step ahead of all of these assassinations and murders that are going on. So when I heard we were getting a prequel to that, I'm like, okay, cool. We're probably going to see what the day before was like or something.
That's what I thought. Just like the lead up, a zero issue, right?
But this is like, this is a villain, the origin story of the villain of the main story, which I wasn't expecting and was very surprised to see here.
So much character development.
Yeah.
Now, the next arc, I'm primed to not really know who to root for. I know who to root for. There's good people and there's people that are killing others. But anytime you're able to add a layer of character development to someone that is doing something wrong, but they have reasons for it, you can, the more you can understand and I guess sympathize at best. It's like, oh wow, it gets your mind rolling.
Yeah, the villains who are just like, no, I'm evil and I'm gonna kill all these babies for no reason. It's like, oh, well,
you're bad.
You're the bad guy.
I don't really care about you have a bad past. No.
So what? Yeah, whatever happened to you, you're an asshole. But but getting to humanize a bad person and seeing how they become that way suddenly makes you care a lot more.
Yeah, comic fam, you got to get on the Recount. Also, pick up Space Cadet if you have a kid, because for as dark as this book is, Jonathan wrote a kick-ass kids book, and it's called Space Cadet. So there's you read Recount and Recount Preamble, and then give your kids Space Cadet, and you'll be.
Or you could swap. Keep the kids Recount and you read Space
Cadet.
Yeah. They probably won't
even
even want to read it. It's boring. It's got politics.
Yeah, it's got politics.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening here, Dad.
I like the masks, Dad.
Yeah, the clown guy.
Oh my gosh, what are we doing? Okay, before we hit you with the end of the show, I want to just talk about boogers.
Okay, I'm into it.
Can we talk about boogers?
I brought mine.
Yeah.
Do
you know what I'm talking about, comic fam? Comic book boogers. Ryan, when I told you I want to talk about boogers, what did you say?
You said we're going to do a segment on this show called Comic Book Boogers, and I said, stop. Don't tell me anymore. I want to know what we're talking. Give me the explanation of this on camera.
Right, so I'm going to give you, we're going to talk about comic book boogers, but for someone who doesn't know what a comic book booger is, what comes to mind when I say that? Because that's a thing. I'm just being real. There's people going like, what the hell, boogers, Tom? If you don't know that comic boogers are a thing, then you are
Apparently,
grossly
you're a
mistaken.
loser. Yeah, because you don't know what
I
comic
wouldn't
book
say a
boogers are.
loser. It wouldn't be so
Except
harsh.
for me. I'm the loser, and you guys are just mistaken.
All right, what do you think a comic book booger is?
You know, everyone's had this. You're sitting down reading your comics. You're just digging in your nose. You know, who knows what comes out? Sometimes, you know, some things come out, some things don't. You know,
So that you're reading it and you don't really know what to do,
picking
so
and
you have to
flicking.
just hold it,
you know,
but you can't flick it, so you just hold it.
use it as a bookmark.
So this is it's like an action. Is that what you're saying? It's like a position to be in while reading comics.
Right?
You have to do it one-handed
Oh yeah.
because you're holding the booger because you can't get it off. There we go. That's incorrect, Ryan. Give me another one.
That's
What
not
do you
a
think?
comic book booger is.
Give me another one.
Like you find a collection and you open a 30-year-old comic and there's a little weird crusty thing down at the bottom. You're like, I wonder what that is.
Bingo.
Oh, wait,
Bingo.
that's it?
That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so take a look at this comic
I
fam.
was just joking. Okay.
No, you're absolutely right. So, comic book boogers are a thing, and it brings us to the last sponsor of our show, Hero Restoration. We get asked a lot, where should I send my comics to be pressed, cleaned, or possibly restored? hrcomics.com is where to send them, and I want to show you comic book boogers if you haven't seen them. They posted this. I got a kick out of it, dude. I was just laughing my ass off when I read this. So, take a look at this. This right here is not the picture I wanted to show you. This is the page I want to show you. This right here. Sometimes comics get stuff just in them. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, you see this little dot by Daredevil's arm. What we're looking for, looking at the comic fam, it's like someone was eating some crumbs, something crummy, like bread crumbs or maybe a cracker or a booger. Sometimes you're like legit going, that could be a booger. It looks weird, right? And you got to pick it off, right? That's what happens.
See a
So it
booger,
looks
you
like-
got to pick.
Exactly.
It's just human.
Exactly. But here's the problem with comic book boogers. Sometimes after a press, sometimes when it's sitting on a comic book for so long and sandwiched. This is why pressing could be dangerous.
Booger sandwich.
Booger sandwiches. That's what happens. I don't know. You mentioned ice cream sandwiches earlier, Ryan.
Right? And now booger sandwiches.
Booger sandwiches. So
Protein.
what we're looking at right now is the process of when a comic book either gets pressed. This wasn't pressed by Hero Restoration. This is what they received specifically. But it's why you have to always check for boogers in your comic book. Because if you put a comic away and then it sandwiches itself in a long box when it's stored, over time, that little dot, even if it's a few pages in, will start to push through. This right here is an example of one of the pages in the very front because it has caused an indent to the cover. Now, I'll tell you, as someone who's pressed comic books before, multiple times and had this problem, and I missed that there was a booger on the inside and I didn't go page by page. I pressed a booger into the comic when it wasn't hurting the comic prior to me pressing it. And every page that was above that booger
Had this little ding on it.
had this little ding on it. So I'm thinking I did great. And I look at it, I'm like, no. Page 6 has a freaking speck of something. And I pressed it into the pages. So, word of advice for members who are pressing your own books. Every page needs to be checked. Look for dog ears, because if you press a book and it has a dog ear, you're gonna you make that crease even worse than what you could have saved. Also, look out for boogers. Look out for things on the inside of the book. This is why you have to use some type of paper to separate from a Marvel value stamp, for example.
This is why whenever you go pick your nose, you do it in a different room from your comic books.
That's right. Separately.
Wear gloves.
So take a look at this. Before and after. Removed the booger in print.
Okay.
Here Restoration, hrcomics.com. You can send things in. Again, they're a sponsor of the show. They help what makes everything possible. But this right here is my recommendation for across the board. Send your books, your funny books, your expensive paper to Hero Restoration if you're looking for a press. 25% off of Warp Speed. It's $45 for a 55 business day turnaround for a max value of $1,000. Typically, it's $60 for that. Also, Slipstream, which is $75, which is typically $100. We're talking a 30 business day turnaround time, max value $3,000. That's a hell of a deal. And there are cheaper options if you are looking for sending something that's a little bit less value. But those ones right there are super competitive. That's the kind of book you're like, I need it now. I need to get this thing graded. And one of the ways that you can get that done without the book traveling back and forth, is you run through your CGC or CBCS order form, you include that in the box that you send to them so that when they get their job and they do all the work on the books, they have your books ready with a CGC order form that's all they need to then send to CGC for you. And then that gets shipped back to you after CGC handles it. So you don't have to do this back and forth.
Smart.
So I want to know from the community, comic boogers. Have you ever heard of that? It's one of those terminology things that I've heard for so long. But when you had that reaction, I got kind of excited. I'm like, I think we have to bring some verbiage to the mic and inform some community members because we have a lot of new members. We just hit, what was it, 53,000 on YouTube? Amazing. Amazing.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Feels
I'll
good.
take full credit, but it's pretty cool.
Comic fam, let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes. It's interesting that they all start with S. SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, and iTunes, except for iTunes, of course.
It's called S-Tunes.
What is going on? We appreciate your time today,
God.
Comic fam.
My brain.
What a show. Ryan's tired.
Yeah, but I gotta go do work after this now. This is just the fun part of my day. Now I have to go do bags and boards.
Slap that like button on the way out, and as always,
Geek responsibly, guys.
enough said.